Hey y'all, it's Alicia. Welcome back to Alicia's Crafty Hoplop. If you're new here, welcome. And to my returning folks, it is post-work, and as promised, I'm going to be on here with a couple of videos for you tonight. The first one is I wanted to share with you some of those flowers that I made that I was telling you I was kind of fooling around with using the embossing method folder from Susan Tootsie Tucker, and also I was testing out all different types of paper and finishes. Now y'all know that when I normally make these flowers, I use triple thick. If I'm doing a vintage theme, I'll distress edge them. But these particular flowers I wasn't using for a vintage project. Some of them are for clean and simple. Some are for people who have a different aesthetic altogether. So I thought I would try all different finishes. So this first one is made using Jen Hadfield's Along the Way. And I did use an embossing for this one to get more of a crinkle, but not on all the layers. I'll tell you what I figured out when I was fooling around with these. This particular paper can rip easily, can tear easily when we're doing our flowers. Not even if you don't spritz it with water. I did it without. I did a bunch of tests. So I wanted to make these a little differently. So I did some with the embossing layers and some without, and it gave me a nice dimensional flower. Still not as pretty as Misty's or Carrie's, but certainly prettier than what I had been producing. Now on this I didn't triple thick. I did a completely different method this time. I used a holographic glitter paste, and it's really, really subtle. And I'll show it to you on another flower where I didn't use anything on top of it. But even when I was done that, I wasn't really happy enough with the effect. So I got this great glitter, and I think I got this in Canada, guys. It looks a lot like diamond dust when you apply it, and it was only like $1. I wish I had bought more of the holographic one. So I used that, and even on my camera, you'll be able to tell it's super diamond dusty and really glittery in the light. Now this flower is very pretty in person. So I'm happy with it. It looks glassy, it looks illuminated, and I did use a little glossy accents on all the edges also, just to give it a little extra zing zing. So, okay, so that one turned out. Then I used the Bohemia paper pad that Miss Dina, this Mama Loves Disney, sent me. Hey Dina, I have to tell you, I actually really like the shape of flowers this paper creates. Like, I really like the shape. I will say that this paper is really thin and fragile, even though it's pearlized. That's probably what made the petals look more real and more delicate and created a more natural look. But they tore a lot. So I tore probably as many as I made. But remember, I do not have gentle hands. On this one, I used a little bit of the glossy accents and a little bit of that holographic paste, but I actually chose not to diamond dust these because I just like the way that they look on their own. So there was that fooling around. Then I went to Prima, and because Prima can hold up to a lot. And this one I'm still able, if I want to change the shape of this, Prima is so sturdy that even without triple thick, I would not dare do this with a Michaels Hot Buy pad. I would not dare do this with a lot of the paper that I own. But with Prima, even without using triple thick, now that I've done stuff to it, I can still mold the shape of this flower. So Jellybean had left me a message today saying, Alicia, paper really matters. You know what, folks? It really does. Like, Prima's built to hold up and withstand a lot of mediums, and you can manipulate it and mold it to make it look more interesting, even without triple thick. Like, normally I wouldn't do that without triple thicking a flower, but on the Prima I can't because I've tested it now. Now let's go to the Michaels Hot Buy paper. Whew, folks, this was tough to work with. I have to tell you, let me show you this one, which I'm happy sort of with the way it turned out. I didn't want this one to have that sort of overly realistic sort of look that, let's say, this one has, or specifically this one has. I wanted this to be like more of one of those large, partially opened flowers and just really pretty. This was a whole lot of work to make look pretty, guys. This was a layer of holographic coating and then a whole ton of that diamond glittering just to make this look good. Now I like the way this flower looks, and I'm going to finish the rest off this way, but it was a whole lot of work to get it there, and a whole lot of this diamondy dust, a whole lot. That said, it did work, and I got the effect I wanted, but it tells me that in the future I probably won't be using Michaels Hot Buy paper to make flowers. The same can be said for this, which is also from the same Michaels Hot Buy pad. Difficult flower for me to manipulate. An experienced flower maker probably could have made this look better and more dynamic. For me, it needed a lot of glossy accents and a lot of extra work to make it come together. And I'm still not that crazy about this one, whereas the lighter purple one I am happy with. All right, so now let's go to a completely different paper pad. This was a paper pad that I think Dina also sent me, but it was a different brand. And this, again, it tore easily in the process, but it produced such lovely shaped flowers, folks. And it looked great with just the holographic-y shiny paste. It didn't need anything extra. It's just a super pretty little flower for every day. So the thinner paper worked better, but I tore it quite easily when I was making it until I got the hang of it. From that same paper pad, I made these really more sculptural ones that I'm also happy with, although I think I am going to go back and diamond dust these around the edges. But it turned out great with the thinner paper. So paper matters. It matters a lot. Jelly Bean's right. The Jen Hadfield, once you fussed with it and you glittered it, super cute, super interesting flower. The Prima, while it may, like, you know, I can keep shaping it. If I want to change the shape, I can keep manipulating it. And it's holding up to mediums really, really well. The Michaels Hot Buy, really tough to make a pretty flower out of. Not impossible, just tougher. And just requires a little patience. But this lovely thin paper that is not Bohemia that Dina sent, and I forget the name of the pad, folks, because I'd never seen it before. Super great for flower making. Super great. Like, now I know I'm saving what I have left of it to make flowers. Just so you know, to make these, I use that EK Success punch that Kathy sent me. Kat's so great. Hey, Kathy. Thanks again. And I loved how these turned out because they're a nice size. So I thought I would use them instead of my, you know, that regular one that I use. And I'm really happy with these. So that is how the flowers turned out. I'll be back on. We're about to have supper in New York. There are billboards all over the city that say, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your pizza is? It's very common to eat dinner at around 9:30, 10 in New York. It is now 9:26 and we're about to have our supper. So I'll be back on after supper to share with you the highlights of the military card challenge and to announce our next Crafty Love challenge. All right, y'all. See you after supper. Bye for now.